The Foul Ball Player is a Fleischer Studios cartoon. This is part of their Stone Age series. And I believe in addition to this one, there were 10 other Stone Age cartoons. And I think this is the first one that I've seen. And while it's not terrible, I'm not overly enthusiastic about watching the others. I will give them a go. But this one just seemed okay, but there wasn't really anything in it that stood out to me as being particularly interesting. It was released in 1940. It's directed by Dave Fleischer and William Nolan and written by Jack Ward. And we have a voice cast including Pinto Colvig, Margie Hines, Jack Mercer, and Sam Parker. And as you can imagine by the title, we have prehistoric figures, and obviously they're dressed like classic cavemen cartoons, and they're playing baseball, which is an interesting enough concept, but I don't really think they lent enough into it. There were a few things here and there, but in general, it just seemed like Stone Age characters playing baseball, as if they'd played baseball all the time, and baseball was around then, whereas I feel like it would have been more interesting if they gave this appearance of never having played baseball and didn't know what they were doing and were discovering it for the first time. I think that could have been a much more entertaining approach. That's not the story they wanted to tell, and that's absolutely fine. It's just the story they did tell, for me, just wasn't that interesting. I did like the fact that they were using a club, like a classic caveman club, as a baseball bat. I thought that was a nice touch. There are, as I said, a few things here and there that make it seem less contemporary and definitely a lot more prehistoric. But in general, I just found it wasn't that interesting. It didn't have a lot to offer. We have a decent amount of characters. I think they made an effort to include a lot of characters. Some of them have different appearances. They're not just carbon copies of each other. And the actual animation of the ball game and the focus on different characters and the speed of the ball game, absolutely fine. No issues there. It wasn't interesting. And if it had been a one-off, I would have thought, okay, fair enough. They just wanted to use some cavemen, prehistoric characters. That's fine. But because this is part of a series, it feels underdeveloped. And I'm hoping that as the episodes, or the cartoons rather, go on, they'll better establish something to make it a bit more unique. So, I mean, it is quite a unique concept, but just, as I said, not very entertainingly done. There's nothing specifically wrong with Foul Ball Player. The narrative works, the characters are fine, it's decently animated, the pacing is okay, but it just basically feels like we're watching some characters playing baseball, occasionally with something that reminds me that these are Stone Age characters. So, could have been a lot better. Isn't terrible. In theory, I don't really recommend it, but if you're going to watch the rest of the Stone Age series, then I'd say check it out. But I will find out in due course whether the rest of the series is actually any good.